What's up, YouTube? So Skip Bayless on the Skip Bayless Show does a deep dive on Shedeur Sanders and even talks about Deion Primetime Sanders and what's the connection to why Shedeur Sanders fell so far in the draft. Hey guys, I'm Corey, and welcome to my channel, Let's Talk with Corey. If this is your first time tuning in, hit that subscribe button. But before we get started, wherever you are in the world today, I mean wherever you are in the world today, I really do hope you're having a great day. Guys, as you know it, my channel, Let's Talk with Corey, is about people, places, and things. And this time, we're going to tap in to the Skip Bayless Show, where Skip is definitely highly disappointed in the league for them passing on Shedeur Sanders, who, without a doubt, and we all know this, was one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft for 2025. Guys, I want you to listen to what Skip Bayless says. And it's not that we don't already know what he's saying, but it hits different when it's coming from someone so close to pro football. Guys, listen up to this clip, and then I want you guys to leave a comment. Check this out.
This is the Skip Bayless Show, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Shedeur. I have never seen anything in my almost 50 years of covering the National Football League like what the National Football League just did to Shedeur Sanders. Again, I first guessed all of this. I said before last college football season that Shedeur should go #1 overall, 1-2, or with Travis Hunter 2-1, depending on whether the team drafting first needed a quarterback. And obviously, Tennessee needs a quarterback. Tennessee made, I'm going to say it one last time, a monumental mistake taking Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders. I'm dug in. I won't flinch on that one. Again, the great Mel Kiper, my guest last week on Skip 1-on-1, ranked Shedeur Sanders 5th overall on his big board and Cam Ward 6th. But now to the guts of this story. I believe the turning point, the flashpoint, the point of no return for Shedeur Sanders came when his father Deion did an interview on Dan Patrick's show at the Media Center on Radio Row during Super Bowl week, last Super Bowl week in New Orleans. This happened on February the 7th. Dan Patrick asked Deion if there were NFL teams he didn't want his son to play for. And Deion answered, and I quote, "There's a lot of teams I preferred he didn't play for." That's like saying, aren't there teams you don't want to watch that you just hit the clicker on? You're right. He's talking to Dan. There's teams I didn't want to play for, so why would I want my kids? Come on, man. I'm a dad. I'm a real dad that has a lot of information about the NFL. I know some folks who know some folks who know some folks in the NFL. And I know what's behind the curtain. So definitely I'm going to lead them in the right direction, said Deion of both of his sons to Dan Patrick on February the 7th in New Orleans before the Super Bowl. Now, of course, when it came to Shedeur, that certainly suggested that Deion would orchestrate where his quarterback son was drafted, would engineer it the way Archie Manning once navigated his son from the Chargers to the Giants by forcing a trade. I'm sure you remember. And I, for one, had absolutely no problem with Deion saying that publicly because his son is that valuable. And my first thought when I heard these comments from Deion was, well, Deion definitely wouldn't want his son drafted by a sorry franchise like the Cleveland Browns. where quarterbacks go to die. Now, Deion did tell Dan Patrick there would be no public criticism of teams. Deion said, and I quote, "I would meet with them behind closed doors. I would not call them out, put them on Front Street, talk about their organization, because people work too hard for a guy like me ignorantly saying something wrong. I would meet with them privately and talk about my concerns so we can have an understanding," said Deion to Dan Patrick before the Super Bowl on February 7th. Deion said he'd already met with some teams. He wouldn't say how many or which. So his message was already being sent behind closed doors to various teams. And you want to know what a whole lot of teams were saying behind closed doors? They were saying F Deion and F his son. How dare him compare himself and his situation with his son to the first family of football, to the beloved Mannings, to Father Archie, to sons Peyton and Eli. How dare him? F that. At that point, it had become clear that Deion was even representing his sons, both Shedeur and Shiloh, as their agent. And the NFL was already saying, F that, F you, Deion. We don't do business that way in this league. So look, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of old school coaches in college and pro football, I'm pretty sure they resent Deion's coaching approach. Do you remember what Oregon's Dan Lanning said? This is 2 years ago after the Ducks crushed Colorado. He made a pointed comment saying that his team focuses on winning, not on getting social media clicks. Other coaches despise that seemingly everything Colorado does behind the scenes is videotaped and it is posted for all to see, which just happens to be the way of the world now for just about every 18 to 22-year-old, and that's who plays for Colorado. That's what college football and basketball and all sports are all about right here, right now. So, Dan Lanning's obviously a white coach, but 2 years ago, you might remember Jay Norvell, Colorado State's black head coach, also took a shot at Deion. Jay Norvell said that Jay Norvell, does interviews when he does behind closed doors, indoors. He takes off his hat and his sunglasses as his mother taught him to do. What? You, Jay Norvell, took that shot at Deion Sanders for wearing a hat and sunglasses for inside interviews? So, I'm pretty sure old school coaches and NFL execs of all colors resent the way Deion runs his program in Boulder because, man, Deion is bolder and bolder. He even has a DJ to hype his team in the pregame locker room and the halftime locker room. And, of course, he had Lil Wayne lead his team out of the tunnel onto the field for kickoff, and Deion's sideline is just packed with star athletes and legendary retired stars and rappers and entertainers. Games are events, they're happenings, they're college football Coachellas. After all, Deion the player was Neon Deion, prime time. Always leading the league in brash and in arrogant. But here was the thing about Deion, the football player. He always backed it up. Deion Sanders was the greatest cornerback ever, greatest all-around athlete I ever saw. Deion Sanders, I covered him for the Dallas Cowboys. He worked hard. He played hard. He backed it the F up. But so many coaches and so many NFL executives were not great football players, or even good football players. Some of them didn't even play high school football. And they are threatened and they are resentful. And they are even flat out jealous of Deion's athletic stature. Their attitude is, yeah, you could get away with being neon Deion on the football field, but you can't play that game on the sideline as a head football coach, even though Colorado did sell out every game and did become the hottest draw on national TV in this country. Yet I'm sure NFL execs and coaches seethe and they curse when they read or they hear that Deion will be the next great NFL coach. I'm sure that deep down they fear he will be, maybe even taking over their organization. So you can bet those NFL phone lines burned up after Deion made those comments to Dan Patrick back during Super Bowl week, February 7th. You can bet executives and head coaches and assistant coaches were calling their buddies and lots of other organizations saying, can you believe effing Deion Sanders says he's going to pull an Archie Manning? Now, look, I'm not saying this was official out-and-out collusion, secret memo collusion. No, this was just a whole lot of NFL people talking to a whole lot of other NFL people saying F Deion and F his son. No doubt a whole lot of them were thinking, we'll show Deion orchestrating.
Okay, guys, you heard what Skip Bayless had to say. Collusion, possibly? I mean, were they trying to simply humble Shedeur Sanders, that he's brash and this guy didn't appear to be, humble, I guess? And they needed to maybe humble him or something? But what's wrong with being confident? Like Venus Williams and Serena Williams, and confident like Tiger Woods. Like, what's wrong with young athletes being confident? Why is confidence all of a sudden a threat? I just don't understand this. But the league, you hear people say, even in social media, and they've been saying this for years, it's the league in like a plantation. If you ain't coming in like hungry for the handout to be lifted up, you can't already have all the tangibles, and you ain't gotta have to come from poverty to come to the NFL to be great. You gotta come from the dirt all the time? Hell no. But guys, you leave a comment. What's your thoughts about what Skip Bayless had to say? And you know what? He was very upset about the outcome. But guys, as always, thanks for the pull-up. Hit that subscribe button. Until the next time, let's hope Shedeur Sanders gets a chance with the Cleveland Browns, if he don't get cut, to make all the difference and take the Browns to the promised land and show all the haters they were more than wrong. Let's talk with Corey. Let's talk with Corey out.